Well, we have another clash between the political establishment and Tommy Robinson. Yes, the House of Commons became completely focused on Tommy instead of focusing on their own problems that they created in the Westminster bubble. Let's go to this clip because Keir Starmer accused the Tories of supporting Tommy Robinson as if it's some sort of taboo, and we're going to talk about why they create taboos in order to crush ideas. They go through Tommy to crush ideas and everybody else who supports the British culture and nationalism. Let's go to Keir Starmer.
She also remained silent as Tommy Robinson, that right-wing thug, was described as a hero. Why is he allowing her to stand as a Tory MP at the next election?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't believe a single member of this House supports Tommy Robinson, Mr. Speaker.
A single member of this House? Have you asked every single member of the House of Commons? This was about Liz Truss. Obviously, she went to America and she was talking about the deep state and everybody else, and with Steve Bannon and Tommy Robinson came up and all the work is done. But Tommy Robinson decided to hit back. Let's have a look at this quickly and then we're going to talk about the taboo concept. He said, "I wear this as a badge of honour. Please share this far and wide." The Labour leader Keir Starmer takes to the stand and calls me a right-wing thug. Like I care about the opinion of a man, and I use that term very loosely, who led the CPS at the time, Jimmy Savile, the revelations came out. What did he do about it? Nothing. He continues by talking about, obviously he didn't prosecute the scandal around the grooming, about the BBC. Instead, he passed the blame onto the police and obviously the lower rank in people in terms of the CPS. The man will never take responsibility for his personal failings, his department's failings, or his party's failings, even though he's a miserable, incompetent failure himself. Then he talked about the grooming gangs, the Muslim, obviously, the Islamic ones, mostly from Pakistan and those countries, saying again he failed during his time leading the CPS. Starmer was director of public prosecutions between 2008 and 2013, as you guys remember. And Rotherham happened, Rochdale happened, didn't do anything about it. Starmer later admitted that the guidelines his department used when dealing with, obviously, the child victims was the wrong approach. Tommy then says, "What was the wrong approach, you ask?" Well, the approach was to ignore the cries of vulnerable British girls trapped in a life of drug abuse, criminality and everything else, as they just were not reliable enough to be concerned with. They were damaged goods as far as the CPS were concerned, leaving those poor children to the animals and parasite scumbags who controlled and exploited them through fear and intimidation. Now, there's also an argument to be made. Politicians, political leaders, and mainstream political parties respond to crises, respond to events. They're more reactionary. And the way they do it is, how much do you get the mainstream media and the newspapers to put pressure on you? When the newspapers and the media, broadcast media, were not reporting on what's going on in Rotherham, in Rochdale, the political candidates, political parties didn't feel any urgency to do anything about it. Unlike other issues, for example. They didn't think it's going to be damaging their voter base. Anyway, Tommy then says, yes, that's the man, Keir Starmer, a useless career politician and an even worse enforcer of British laws. As for the non-elected numpty Prime Minister, that is Rishi Sunak, the man still defending the safe and effective vaccine, and the man who kicked out Suella Braverman because he could not deal with the political heat, admitting that grooming gangs are obviously majority Muslim and Pakistani. He then obviously continues by saying the man who can't and won't deal with illegal boat invaders because he's still subject to ECHR laws, which allows the illegal invasion to continue uninterrupted. The very same laws that stop us from deporting, obviously again going back to grooming gangs and all the foreign criminals in general. When these two failures of manhood label me as a far-right thug, or right-wing actually, right-wing thug, they've kind of moved on from just far-right. Tommy says, I wear that as a badge of pride, because neither of these useless W have ever done anything good for our people, our country, or for the rule of law. We are sick of uniparty virtue signaling. You are both full of S, and both of you are a disgrace. Both of you are, of course, yeah, all the other issues. I mean, they're becoming a completely problematic situation. Is that the political parties? It's not necessarily that they're similar. It's not necessarily that the policies are similar. It's that their cultures are now similar. That was always at least different. You had the centre-right and centre-left believing the consensus when it comes to governance of the country and the economic situation and everything else. You had differences, tax rates and all that. But now we still believed that the Labour politicians, more socialist-leaning ones, and the Tories, more conservative-leaning ones, at least they had some differences in terms of culture, in terms of worldview. Not anymore, because they are all in the establishment. Of course, then he continues by attacking the political class in general, saying the out-of-touch morons who do not speak to the concerns of the working class. You only speak and act on the concerns of the globalist elites. You're both sellouts and everything else. Resign immediately, both of you, you incompetent, corrupt, rotten, festering... Yeah, he's gone on one again, Tommy. Meanwhile, I will continue to shine a light on subjects that you run a mile from, because unlike you cowards, I do have a backbone, I do care about my people, and I do love my country. So that's the latest clash between now Keir Starmer is getting involved, obviously, and the whole of the political class against Tommy Robinson. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.